I just had my fantasy football draft. Oh, it's so early, blah, blah, blah. I didn't make the rules. Okay. Um, I just realized that the team I feel the best about on offense is the Philadelphia Eagles. And I just realized that they play Lions week 1. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun rooting against the Lions week 1. Cool. Perfect. No, I'm not actually going to root against the Lions week 1. That's not how this works. But, yeah, whatever. Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith. I like him. I like him a lot. We'll talk about the NFL, what I think about the NFL a couple weeks from now. This week, we're going to talk about the Lions, Hard Knocks. Tigers looked good. European Minute, and we're going to talk a lot about college football because week 0 coming up next week, next Saturday. So we've got conference winners, Final Four, national champion, Heisman Trophy predictions, overs and unders on seasons that I like, and I'm going to break down the Michigan and Michigan State schedule. So let's get right into it. Lions on Hard Knocks. I understand that I'm a Lions fan. I understand that I'm very biased this year, but I've been talking to other people throughout the week and for a while now, and I feel as though they are going to be America's team this year because they're not going to win the Super Bowl, and everybody knows that. But at least for the rest of America, the Lions are going to be a team that is like a 5-win team that you're like, I saw them on Hard Knocks, and I really like all these guys. Every single guy is so likable and so fun. Even like when Deuce and AG are like arguing, like you're still like, those guys are brothers and like they love each other. It's hard not to root for a team that's like that actually like likes each other and is fun to root for and that tries hard. I think the Lions are clearly just going to be America's team to like, hey, the Lions lose on a game-losing field goal. Dang. Like, I wish they would win. I feel like that's going to be a lot of America looking at the Lions this year. So I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that the Lions are going to be gooder this year. But I love Rodrigo. That linebacker is going to be great. And if he can step up and take that next step from being a rookie to being a good, solid linebacker for the next 8 years, I'll take it. Brad Holmes has done an incredible job. He has done such an incredible job just rebuilding this team in so many ways, but especially through the draft. I think Hutch is going to be great. I think Penei Sewell, when healthy, is going to be good. Rodrigo is going to be good. Obviously, Amon St. Brown was an absolute steal in that draft. So I'm just very, very hopeful for the next couple of years, especially with Brad Holmes, and I feel like he's building it the right way. I cannot get my hat to stay not crooked, so we're just going to take it off. But yeah, I think that they're going to be America's team. It's hard not to root for them. All right, Tigers. Erod was back. Erod was back. That's all you can be. I'm trying to walk my friends through being a Tigers fan. We can't hit. But we have the 6th best pitching staff. So I'm like trying to figure out how to do the future of the Tigers, and I finally convinced myself that they're going to be a 500-win team next year if Austin Meadows comes back, if Torkelson can come back, and if they can sign a couple of outfielders that can hit as well. Because we get rid of our hitting coach. I feel like they're a couple pieces away from being a 500 team, and by a couple pieces I mean like a corner outfielder. Victor Reyes, maybe not the future. Just get a corner outfielder and maybe Scope can figure out next year, just to have one more year. And I think they could be a 500 team next year. I've convinced myself, especially if Casey Mize and Skubal and Erod actually plays. They can all come back. I'm feeling very positive about the Tigers next year. And if Spencer Turnbull comes back next year, I mean, I'm feeling very positive that it can be a 500 team if they just do a couple of things, if they just sign a couple of good outfielders. I'll be interested to see who they have as their GM and what they're going to be willing to do. But that's where I'm at with the Tigers. All right. Can't tell if my mic's low or not. All right. And right now, we're going to talk my favorite segment, the European Minute. And it starts now. Okay, so Manchester City ties Newcastle. And my first thought was, Newcastle has all this new money. How long do you think it's going to take for Newcastle to, be that next team that can challenge for the Premier League? Because for me, I'm sitting there, I'm like, they can win the Premier League because they have so much money. This will be interesting to see what you think. Chelsea drops points to USA FC. Obviously, I'm a big USA guy, and I'm obviously a big Chelsea guy, so I'm fine with that. Whatever, it's cool. Last thing about the EPL is that I absolutely love Tottenham. I do. I think Tottenham's going to win the Premier League this year. Unfortunately, I want Chelsea to win, obviously, but I think they're going to win. And then the F1 comes back this week to one of my favorite courses, Spa. I hope it's a beautiful race. I love Spa. Spa is one of my favorite races of all time, but that and Monza. So I've lost track of time. That has been somewhat of a European minute. I lost track of time, okay? I don't know if that was under or over a minute, I'll be honest with you. I think it's been a minute now, but yeah, I love Spa. It's going to be a great race. It's going to be a great, great race. All right, so let's talk about college football. College football, obviously, week 0 is coming back. Is this week, Nebraska versus Northwestern in Ireland. If Nebraska loses, it's going to be rough. But let's break down Michigan and Michigan State because that's what you're here for. Michigan's over and under total this year is 7.5. They have 7.5 wins. I looked at their schedule. First two game wins. At Washington. Now, I think that's going to be a very interesting spot for Michigan State. I'm sitting there, and if I'm a Michigan State fan, I'm like, if that's kind of like the test. That is the test of what you're going to be able to do. I think they win that game. I think they win the next 2. Then they play Ohio State. That's a loss. Then they get Wisconsin. You got to count that as a loss. Then they go to Michigan, and that's a loss. So now I've got you at 5-3, and you got 4 games left to make it to that 7.5. And I think you win those next 3, and then I think you go to Penn State. And I just think that's too hard, and I think you end up with 8 wins. After a lot of change, I think that's a great year, and I really like Michigan State's schedule. And I think 8 wins, I think if you're honest with yourself, you take that season and run with it. I mean, but I think to hit that over on 7.5, there's only one. I think there's one really key game, and that's at Washington in that third game. And I think Michigan State wins that game. Then going to Michigan, they start off the season with an easy 4-0. Then they go to Iowa, and Iowa's a very tough game. I hate Iowa, but that's a very tough game to get up for. I think they can win that game. I think they do win that game. I think that's 5-0. Then they play Indiana. That's an easy win. Then they get Penn State at home. That's a very, very tough game. It's a very tough game. I think they still hang on and win that game. Then they get at Michigan State. Obviously, it's not easy, but I still think they win that game. Obviously, at Rutgers, they win that game. Then they get Nebraska. Not easy, but probable. I'm going to be at that game. I'm spending a lot of money watching Nebraska play against Michigan. I obviously don't think it's going to be the easiest game in the world. Nebraska should have beaten them last year if Adrian Martinez doesn't fumble or if the ref was a legitimately good ref. Illinois is easy, and I think Ohio State is just impossibly good. I think they're just so good that they're going to win. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but they're going to win a lot of games this year. So the over and under total for Michigan is 9.5. I got them at like 10. But I think you should still take the under because I think you're going to slip up Iowa, Penn State, or Nebraska, including Ohio State. I think you just can't. I just don't think you get through those 3 games without tripping up. So I think you lose one of those 3 games, and I think you kind of end up at. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just close. Is that 9 or is that? Yeah, that's not. It's yeah. So be wary of 9.5. But let's talk about the conference winners. This year, I got Ohio State winning the Big Ten. I don't think they lose a game. I think C.J. Stroud is so good. I think they just absolutely reloaded, and I think they're going to be a heck of a team this year. And the ACC, I know that this isn't a popular pick, but I don't see Miami being that good. I don't like Miami this year. I don't like Pitt because they lost everybody. They lost Kenny Pickett. I don't like NC. I like NC State, but I don't love NC State. I think that their quarterback is going to be like that typical ACC quarterback that is going to be a top 10 pick and everybody's going to fall in love with. I'm trying to think of another team off the top of my head, but I have Clemson winning. I've got Clemson winning the ACC. I really think they're going to take that next step this year and win that ACC and make the Final Four. SEC, I got Alabama. Pac-12, and then these next 2 are kind of controversial. In the Pac-12, I know the hot pick right now is Utah, and I like Utah. I just don't think they have like I don't know, they don't have that swagger. They never do. They don't have the swagger to win the Pac-12. Everybody's picking USC, but I think there's just so much that goes into like it's hard to just put your offense in year 1 and then say, "Oh, we're going to win the Pac-12." And UCLA is kind of a trendy pick, but I don't really they've been average with Brian Kelly, and all of a sudden you're going to win the Pac-12. I don't think so. I'm going with a little bit of a weird pick. I'm going with Oregon. It's purely the fact that I love Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is in the right system. I think he's in the right system. I think he's in the right place, and I think Oregon does really, really, really well this year, and I think they win the Pac-12. And the Big 12, kind of the same thing. I don't think Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is the most popular pick, and I think Texas is the most popular pick. But I think those two systems, we're kind of getting used to. Quinn Ewers didn't win the starting position easily. Oklahoma, brand new system. It's an offensive team with a defensive coach. I think that takes years to get better. And I think Nebraska beats Oklahoma week 4. Obviously, I'm a homer, but I think Oklahoma is gonna take a step back this year and then next year try to figure some things out and really try to change that culture. So I think Oklahoma and Texas are obviously 1 and 2 the most popular picks, but I don't see it personally. I think Texas is always overhyped, and I think Oklahoma needs to still figure it out. The team that is established, very good. I like their schedule. I love their coach. Is Baylor. I think Baylor wins the Big 12, but they don't. I think they get tripped up a couple times. I think they come out with 2 losses, and they don't make the Final Four, but they're around and they win the Big 12. My Final Four: Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon. And in order, I have Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Oregon. So Ohio State and Oregon play in first round. Clemson, Alabama play. I've got Alabama beating Clemson and Ohio State beating Oregon, and I've got Ohio State beating Alabama. Ohio State is your national champion. But there's some things that have come out of that. I think here are your 4 Heisman Trophy, the guys that are going to be in New York. I think Bo Nix is going to be in New York. Do I think he wins? No, but I think he'll be in New York, especially if he could lead Oregon to a 1-loss team. I think DJ Uiagalelei proves how good he was in high school and proves that he is worth it. And I think he proves that he is the guy and is a first round, maybe even a 1-1 type of guy this year. And I think he's the Heisman Trophy candidate. C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, they're obviously the popular picks, but I don't think Bryce Young can win this year. I just don't think that they're going to give it to him back to back. So honestly, I'm down to DJ and Chris Stroud, and I honestly am going to pick DJ. I think he just explodes onto the scene this year. I think he gets his better offensive line, a healthy offensive line. I think he's got some weapons to work with, and I think he blows up, and I think he wins the Heisman Trophy this year, personally. All right. Here are some over totals for other college football teams that I absolutely love. I like Arizona State over 6 wins this year. They got Emory Jones, their new quarterback, who is at Florida, who is a good, solid quarterback. And I also think the Pac-12, other than can really be a dog-eat-dog kind of conference where all of a sudden Utah comes into Arizona State and they could get beat. I think that is a very big possibility. So I like Arizona State over 6. I think they have an easy year schedule. I like Arizona 2.5. They have got 2 easy non-con games, and they have an impossible. I think they play at Oklahoma State. They have 1 hard game, 2 easy games. So I think they win those 2. And then the game that I have circled for this over is against Colorado. If they can beat Colorado, which I think they can do, hammer that 2.5 is just so low. It's just so low. It's hard. It's hard to get there. It's hard not to get there. Then I got Oregon at 8.5. Obviously, I've talked about how much I love Oregon. I've got Baylor over 7.5. Obviously, I just got done talking about how much I love Baylor. And I got Clemson over 10.5. Got them winning 11 games. Now, the last one, I've already kind of alluded to it. I like NC State at 8.5. I like that over personally because I think every single year, Daniel Jones, Kenny Pickett, it feels like Mitch Trubisky. It feels like an ACC team that kind of is on the radar, has a quarterback that blows up and is a first-round pick that everybody sneaky likes. And I think NC State has that, and I think they win 9 or 10 games this year. Obviously not enough to win the ACC, but enough to stir up some trouble. So I think they get about 9 wins. I like that 8.5. Now, unders that I like. This is where you make your money. Unders typically hit. Overs are hard to hit. Unders are typically easier to hit. I don't like Miami, and I don't like Pitt, and they're both at 8.5. I like those unders. I just think that Miami, Tyler Van Dyke, okay, maybe crystal ball is the right guy. I think he can take Miami to being a good, solid team, but it's just year one. It's just so hard. It's just very hard. I don't like 8.5. In Pitt, they got rid of their offensive coordinator. They got rid of their quarterback. It's really hard to come back from that. So I like the 8.5 on. I like 7 and less wins for them. And then I don't like Purdue at 7.5. I don't think they can get to 8 wins. I mean, Purdue winning 8 games is just so hard to believe. I just don't think they can do it. I think they can get 6, but 8, I don't know. Indiana, I think they take an absolute tremendous step back. I think they had such a great year during the COVID year, and I think people are still hyped up about them. I know that the number is 4.5, but I just don't like them at all. Then Colorado at 3. Like I said earlier, they've got a key game against Arizona where they play each other, and I just don't think Colorado can win that game, and I don't think they can beat anybody else in that conference. Then the last one is BYU at 8. They have an impossibly hard schedule. I think they're a very good team, just like Arkansas. Arkansas has a very, very good – I won't pick that under because I actually do like Arkansas, but it's really hard. It's really hard with that schedule. I don't think that they can get to 8 wins. I think they're the best 6-6 team in the country. But, yeah, you tell me who you like on your overs and unders this year. I gave you a lot. Look, if I had to do it like – here's the end of it. Like, here's the too long to read. Ohio State's going to be really good this year. Clemson's going to be back. I think Alabama's just going to be Alabama. Bo Nix and Oregon are taking it over, and I think Baylor's just really, really solid. And I think Nebraska's going to be good. I think Nebraska can win 9 games, right? They can win 9 games. Nebraska can win 9 games. Do I need to bring up my degree? I've got it right here. All right, final thoughts. I just got done doing the 3 baseball games in 3 days. It's a long day, man. It's a long weekend. I don't know how baseball players do it. I understand that it's their job, and I love baseball. But 3 baseball games in 3 days? Whew. This is the second time I've done it. It is hard. I'm not going to lie. You know, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors. I think that's the saying. So, I love it. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to another Detroit Pierce. Thank you for listening to another Detroit Pierce podcast. I appreciate you all. God bless. Go Detroit Sports.